It's the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. What's going to give first? The Auburn defense or the Arkansas offense?
You are Locked On UCF, your daily podcast on the UCF Knights.
Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. I'm your host, Mike G. Turn us up, turn us on, turn it out. I'm here with my good friend, Taylor Davis, sideline reporter for ESPN. Taylor, looking good on a Thursday. Here to talk some Auburn football. On today's show, we're going to talk about that Auburn defense versus the Arkansas offense that leads the conference in yards produced from scrimmage. And then in the second half, we're going to talk about the potential future of the Auburn head coaching position. Let's start at the top here. Taylen Green is tearing it up, man. He's a top 5 quarterback in the NCAA in passing yards. And Arkansas, despite not having won a conference game, they are over, just like Auburn and Kentucky and all the other teams at the bottom of that list here. They are very, very dangerous on offense.
Yeah.
I hate it. When we talked about this schedule, this was not a game that we thought we should be worried about. And now here we are, 0-4 in SEC play and completely worried about Arkansas. Talk to me about how you're feeling about this game this weekend, Taylor. I just didn't think that we would be here, but here we are.
No, certainly not. I mean, going back to the preseason and thinking back on the conversations we were having around this team to then be where we are now heading into week 9. And it is so disappointing because there was every reason to believe that what we were expecting was going to at least be closer to fruition than what we've seen. The past 4 weeks have just been so bad. And you're right. I think that this matchup presents very different challenges, specifically because of Taylen Green. Taylen Green is a phenomenal athlete, and he kind of has some raw elements to his game that make it very, very challenging to prepare for. And he's also, I don't think Auburn has seen a quarterback like him. Auburn has seen great quarterbacks, but this guy comes in with a totally different stature and size and escapability and extendability. And I mean, look, they almost got Texas A&M this past week. They almost got Tennessee a few weeks ago, but we're saying the same thing about Auburn. Auburn almost got Georgia. Auburn almost got Missouri. These two programs have both been on the cusp of getting that big win. And so you know that there's talent. There's not a question mark around that. And I think the offense has been playing well with Bobby Petrino now in the head coach role. I agree with you. I think it's which one is going to give first. Auburn's defense, which has been stout and made, things difficult for everybody. Missouri's rushing attack is fantastic, and our rushing defense continued to show out. And Arkansas's offense has been able to put points against everybody. I think it's the opposite. I think which side of the ball is actually going to take a step forward, Auburn's offense or Arkansas's defense. I think it's actually going to be which of these teams' weaknesses can have their best day so far. Because if Auburn's offense cannot continue the rhythm, because I did see a little bit more rhythm this past week against Missouri. I can't believe that we're even talking about like moral victories or small wins, but there were some. I mean, there was specifically a drive with, I think, like 5 minutes left in the third quarter, the first time that we saw any RPO from Jackson Arnold, but there was a sweep to Malcolm Simmons. There was a run up the middle by Jeremiah Cobb. Like, we did start to see a little bit more depth to this offense and a little bit more effectiveness. You've got to capitalize in the end zone. I won't slander Alex McPherson. You will never hear me doing that, but the kicking game is a part of this. And it unfortunately is putting Auburn in these predicaments. But if you have these chunk plays, 45-yard completion to Cam Coleman, 36-yard run up the middle from Jeremiah Cobb, and you can't end in the end zone, like, you are just asking to continue to stall yourself. If you cannot capitalize on those against an Arkansas defense that hasn't been able to stop anyone, then Auburn is really, I don't know where they're finding a win in this one. So I think it's actually a matter of which team's weakness finds a little bit more strength this week.
Yeah, look, defensively, Auburn is firmly in the top 25 in every defensive statistical category. It has been remarkable how well DJ Durkin's side of the ball has played. When I've talked to players, they've said that when I've talked to offensive players, they've said that it's like two different teams, the way they practice. And
You hate to hear that.
Yeah, you hate to hear that, but the results speak
Show it.
truth and life to that, right? Like in terms of how they're playing. Now, going to the offensive side of the ball, because we're talking about the Auburn offense versus the Arkansas defense here as well. Auburn's offense, there were bright spots. There were things. Yeah, I don't think that's a wild statement for you to say. I was really excited about seeing Perry Thompson out there running around making plays.
Much better.
Taylor, I don't understand why Perry was not playing this whole season. This coach said that he thought the way to build it was from high school. You had a top 30 overall player, and somehow the transfer from Wake Forest beat him out. And when I watch him play, I can't really figure out why. And you're desperate for that one extra play. I mean, that's how close this has been. And so while I think Horatio Fields is a solid receiver, I think Perry Thompson is potentially a game breaker. Right. And it may have been a mistake not having him out there to make that one more play you possibly needed to keep the chains moving, or, all these final drives Auburn has had, and they haven't been able to muster a first down on a final drive to win the game. I don't know, man. I have so many questions. There are still positives to take away from this. Cam Coleman, again, showed why he was a top 5 overall player coming out of high school. But then the drops. Minus
some early drops. I was about to say, what are you doing, my guy? Jackson Arnold finally hits you in stride and you drop him off your hands. Like, that's inexcusable. Like, there are so many times that I can give these weapons the benefit of the doubt. You haven't had success at the quarterback position. The play calling isn't creative enough to get you guys open in space. Buddy, there was no, like, I don't understand things like that come into play when you have the talent that you do.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, though, if that is a product of a regimen during the week that does not instill discipline, and maybe some fundamentals are being taken for granted in practice, and you get out there and it's showing up in big moments. Perhaps. For a guy that I'm telling you has had no trouble catching the ball. I went to, Cam Coleman is from the crib. We went to the same high school. I actually went to high school with his dad. I went to a bunch of his high school games down here his senior year before Jimbo got fired, when he was still committed to Texas A&M. And Taylor, I saw him make some catches that absolutely just blew my mind. The body control, all hands, it was just like it was effortlessly. And then I'm watching him drop routine deep balls out here at Auburn. And I'm like, well, what happened? He never would have dropped that in high school. And he got plenty of those balls. So the process being called into question here, I think, a lot in these press conferences. Hugh Freeze made a statement after the game and on Monday that he hopes that he is the guy. He gets an opportunity to fix this. I'm not sure that Auburn fans are in a place where they're feeling very very charitable with the grace here, based on losing all the games that mattered to this point.
Yeah.
In conference play, you had to get some of them. You can't lose all of them. So nobody expected Auburn to go undefeated, but certainly I didn't think we would be 0-4 here. Bobby Petrino has coached here before. He is a very good offensive mind, and I think his track record with quarterbacks is unquestioned here. Do style points matter at this point? Do you think that is it just a win at all costs on Saturday, or do they need to win convincingly here to convince the AD and maybe some of the people that write the checks that you're the guy to stay on to fix this?
Are you talking about Arkansas or Auburn?
Auburn, yeah. Because
honestly, that conversation can happen on both sides this week.
Yeah,
because
sure,
I think Bobby Petrino knows if he wants to be a serious consideration for that vacancy, he has to beat Auburn this week. I think if they lose to Auburn this week, because as much as we hate it, these two teams are bottom dwellers in the SEC. If they come into Fayetteville and hand Arkansas another loss, Bobby Petrino is not being considered. So I think both of these coaches know the impact that a loss would have on their future careers. I don't think that style points really matter, Mike, because I think that we have seen enough this year that does back up what Hugh is saying, that they are close. I agree. I can look with my own two eyes. The problem is do we care anymore about being close? Like, it has that ship sailed, that conversation, that give us time, give us patience, let us recruit, let us develop, and then let us have some continuity of staff.
Mhm.
That's all been done now. So to once again have a close is the conversation. And honestly, I would like to know, and if you have any insight on this from pressers, please let me know. What is that missing piece in Hugh Freeze's eyes? The "we're close" argument, because to my understanding, you first take on this job, and look, I know from people inside the program, very close to the program, the caliber of athletes that we were dealing with in the Harsin regime versus now are very different. People are not mincing words when they say that there was a lot to overcome coming out of that. From a recruiting and talent and personnel perspective, you are dealing with very different things here. It is back to being SEC caliber athletes. Okay, so that part was true. Okay, so the quarterback, you got to figure that out. Your coaching staff, the play calling, having some time at Auburn to build any of this. Okay, I'll give you all of that. You've got it all now, though. So what is that next piece that is keeping you from being close to arriving? And this has been talked about all season, and I think it's warranted. His statements this offseason added into the conversation about why Auburn should have had a successful season. He went to SEC Media Days and got up on the podium saying we should be contending as a playoff team. This was not a coach that took to the podium like he has in years past and said, we need everyone to give us some time. We need everyone to be patient with us, as coaches do. And I think they deserve to say that at the beginning. He didn't approach it that way, which means you also felt the pieces. You had the system and you were developing them to execute it in game to where you believed you were potentially a playoff team. And now we're sitting here 0-4 in SEC play for the second year. Nothing has taken a step forward. The personnel has changed. You've been there 3 years. You've got the system established. Did you miss at the quarterback position? Probably. Do you need to give up play calling and bring in a coordinator that's really an effective offensive mind? Probably. So, like, that's what I want to know. And I think that answer determines his future. Do you have a black and white tangible answer to what that missing piece is? And if you feel like you can implement it between this year and next year, you've got the first 5-6 weeks of season to try and prove that. And if not, you're gone. I think that's a very real potential for Auburn at this point, because you also have to look across the country, Mike. There are 11 vacancies right now. And I'm not convinced that all of the candidates would think that Auburn is the best job out of the litter.
Yeah. It's funny you should ask the question about what else he needs, because I asked that question directly to him after a game. I said, Coach, literally, what else do you need to do this? You've been given the NIL support. You've been given the complete support of your AD. What else? You've got a $92 million performance center that rivals some NFL facilities. You've got a fan base that has sold out home game after home game in what looks like three straight losing seasons. What else do you feel like you need? And it was a question. I knew he wasn't going to be able to answer that question. I knew that I was going to get a non-answer there. Yeah. But I think it's still an important question, because here we are. I'm sitting here talking to you and you're asking it, like, what else does the coach need to win, right?
Why aren't you there? What is preventing you from being there rather than being close? Because I know you have the athletes now. You can look there and see it. There is something missing in development and execution. You're acknowledging it, saying we're close to being there. We're close to finding ways to win. What develops that? Because you also can't say that you're going to have this same roster anymore in college football. You won't. These guys, a lot of them will be gone. You will have a lot of new. So if you're banking on having time as your advantage, that is no longer the narrative in college football either. So I need to know what that missing piece is.
Well, the second half of what you said about the level of athlete, I made a couple of statements 2 years ago about the roster. And while I agree with you, this is an otherworldly level of talent that Auburn has had, not just in comparison to what he was left. But I'm just talking about in what Auburn has had in general over the last 25 years. On paper, this is easily top 3 most talented rosters we've seen on the Plains. And but however, in the first couple of years, where I maybe digress from you a little bit is that there were things that were happening that I felt weren't about players and was about coaching. And I pointed to those things and said, hey, I don't like how much we're blaming the talent and then going to post-game press conferences and saying, well, we need to recruit in season. I'm like, no. You have a team to coach now. If I'm playing for you now and I hear you say that at press conference, I'm thinking my coach doesn't believe he can win with me. And regardless of whether that is the reality or not, I don't want to hear you say that. I want to hear you say, when Alabama lost to UL Monroe in Saban's first year, I never once heard him go to the podium and say, well, that's why we need better players. No, man, he just said, there's no way we should lose that game no matter what. We're Alabama. We got to win that. And I think that you nailed you hit the nail on the head when you talk about development. There's something missing in the development in the coaching piece and the way they identify talent. Look, you brought Peyton Thorne here,
and it was a miss. And I'm sorry, I think you missed on Jackson too. So talent evaluation in the transfer portal at your most impactful position for the offense that you want to run is off.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah. Look, the Jake Crane said this. He said, you can be bad at the things you're bad at, but you can't be bad at the things you're supposed to be good at.
Well said, Jake Crane.
Yeah. And so you cannot come into the job. And I quote, he said, we've done 2 things well everywhere we've gone. We turn programs around quickly and we develop quarterbacks. And neither of those things is happening on the Plains here in year 3. So
still waiting on those.
Yes, accountability is going to be asked for here, and I think it's going to be asked for here soon. If it is asked for, it could mean a new coach, maybe before the end of the season, maybe after the season. If Auburn is moving on, is it the right move to wait till the end of the season? Or now? We'll talk about that right after a quick word from our sponsors, our friends at Abels, I&O, Moore and Associates. Taylor, many small business owners want to take care of their employees, but don't know where to start. There are various retirement plans that fit almost any budget. Offering something your competitors don't builds loyalty, improves retention, and can even improve productivity. Better yet, the amount you save in taxes from offering these plans often covers a significant portion of the costs of the added employee benefits. This is where Abel's I&O Moore and Associates comes in. They'll walk you through your options and select a structure that's best for you now. But more importantly, they'll work with you and help transition you to other plans. And when they make more sense, you will save money. Call AIMA at 912-777-4128. Scan the QR code on the screen or visit AIMAINC.com to schedule your complimentary business retirement review today. The War Report has been compensated by Abel's I&O Moore and Associates for this endorsement. Abel's I&O Moore and Associates is a SEC registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. This episode of the War Report is also brought to you by our friends at Sky Tobacco and Vape. Ever run out of vape juice at 10 p.m. and think, well, I guess I'm just suffering? And not with Sky Tobacco and Vape. These folks got more locations than Waffle House, Columbus, Phoenix City. They're everywhere. Whether you're on the thruway or the bypass or just lost with bad directions, Sky Tobacco and Vape is probably 10 feet away. They've got vape, tobacco, and deals so good you'll swear they misprinted the price tags. Sky Tobacco and Vape, good vibes, great deals, and zero judgment if you walk in wearing your pajamas. Also want to thank our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamal grills. The summer may be gone, but the fall is here, and that brings great weather down here in the South. So visit goldenscastiron.com to get your discount on your grills or your weights. Work out, grill out, chill out with Golden's Cast Iron. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. If you're in the Columbus, Phoenix City area and you're looking to get fresh for the weekend, visit the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. That's right across the street from CBCC on Highway 431 next to the Renfro Supermarket or the Marco's Pizza. The Vibe Vault. Get fresh for the weekend with the Vibe Vault, not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. Let's jump back into our conversation here, Taylor. Change feels imminent. Well, I'm not ready to torpedo him just yet. But certainly, as we mentioned in our last segment, a loss for either coach is definitely not going to be tolerated in my book. I think there's about a 0% chance that the losing coach either stays on or gets an opportunity to coach next year, depending on whether you're talking about Petrino or Hugh Freeze here. But the more dire of the two is Hugh, in my opinion. He is the current head coach, and unfortunately, he started 0-4 in SEC play. I just, you said it on previous segments here, right here on the show. Look, man, this ain't slow dancing. Close does not matter. You have to get wins, and you didn't have to get them all. But maybe if Auburn had split these first 4 SEC games, we're just having a very different conversation right now. And you're sitting here at like what? You've got 3 wins. So if you split them, you're 5-2 at this point, 7 games in. And that is completely acceptable with a lot of goals still in front of you for the rest of the season. Auburn's got to win this weekend. They've got to win. But if they don't, I don't know if he gets back on the plane to come home. And it's not a joke, right? We've seen this across college football before.
I know.
What do you think here? What's the right move? Is it, should Auburn cut bait and move on here? Do we have enough already, or do the results for the rest of the season matter?
I think the results certainly this week are going to be impactful because of what's happening around college football right now. Like I said, there are currently 11, 12 vacancies in FBS right now, and there are only so many absolute crush it candidates to go around. And so you cannot risk missing again. That's what I have said about the quarterback position. Unfortunately, here we are. But it is certainly true for Auburn at the head coach position, because you are about to potentially have your 4th head coach in 8 years, 9 years? I don't even know the time since we fired Gus Malzahn, and the potential.
Hugh,
6 years.
Yeah, so it would be 4 coaches.
That's insane.
2020. Yeah, it's 4 coaches in 5
Like,
years.
come on.
Years.
You do not do that from a financial perspective, from a culture perspective, from a roster retention perspective, unless you are guaranteed to hit bullseye on this get. So I think that what's happening elsewhere is very important, which is why I think the timing of it is going to be difficult for John Cohen and co. Because if you do it too early, you potentially disrupt. Because here's the thing, y'all. Let's think about this. If his comments about being close are actually factual, and you pull the plug right before something tips, what that is, your guess is as good as mine. But I'm just saying hypothetically here. Or you pull the plug and Auburn not getting there was because of Hugh Freeze. Like, is he the reason that Auburn is close? And define close. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm at the point where being close is no longer a good thing. I think Mississippi State being close is a good thing. Mississippi State came off 2-10 season. I've already talked about everything that program has been through, going back the untimely passing of a legend in Mike Leach during season. They still had a bowl game to go. The kids are celebrating holidays and lose their head coach. What Mississippi State has been through is ridiculous and so difficult, and anyone would have had a hard time. Jeff Lebby has that thing headed in the right direction. They have been close. They should have gotten Florida. They should have gotten Texas. They have Texas this week. They should get Texas, actually. That's my upset pick for this weekend. But Mississippi State being close is a good thing, and it's meant in good light and with a compliment. Jeff Lebby is where he's meant to be. Auburn being close is no longer a good thing. It's no longer excusable. So is the cause of Auburn not quite being there Hugh Freeze? Is he actually what's holding the program back? Or is he what's gotten them there? And if you just give him a little bit more rope, it's going to click. That's what this staff has to figure out and really answer for. And I think this road matchup with an Arkansas team that has every reason for Auburn to go show that promise and go show that talent. If they can't, I think you see that they are actually being handicapped a little bit, and that you really have no option at that point. What I do think is interesting, though, Mike, is a couple players have spoken out about it on social media. There are current players that have done Q&As on Instagram and someone asking, do you want Freeze done? And I understand they're not going to say, yeah, I want him out of here because they're currently playing for him. But you could bypass the question and not even utilize it on your story. And they have quoted it and saying, nah, that's my guy. And if you look at the recruiting, continues to recruit well. They just flipped Tootle or whatever his name is from Georgia last week. So is it true that it's right on the cusp and retaining him for one more year gets you there? Or if they get absolutely embarrassed this week against an Arkansas team that I don't think is better than Auburn, then it truly is a coaching problem. It truly is a play calling problem. And you really, your hand is forced, but you have to be so sure that you have the ability to go get a slam dunk coach. You can't get one. You can't get one that you're going to figure this out, because you either go get an absolute dynamite hire or you give Hugh a contingency plan and you say, okay, we are committing to you through the end of this year. We're going to give you another offseason, another recruiting cycle. You are going to get an offensive coordinator that you feel confident having call your plays. You are giving up play calling. You are going to go get a quarterback that can actually contend. You have 5 games next year, like some sort of contingency plan. Basically what Billy Napier has been. They were calling for his job last year. And this year it's like, we're going to give you a small chance, but we are expecting to make a change. It's one of the other, but I think the showing this week shows the hand. It has to.
Yeah. Taylor, here are my thoughts on this.
I feel you and I differ a little bit.
A little, not that much though. I am
Okay.
with you. I think that if you're John Cohen, you have a tough decision here. And I'm telling you, whenever I have said this, people have flooded the comment section. What's so hard about this, Mike? We're losing. Just cut bait and move on. And I don't think it's that simple.
Yeah,
I do think that John Cohen has a tough decision because, like you said, the results have been close. Now, are you close to anything consistently offensively? You can argue maybe no. Like, I mean, it's the same problem, right? Like, and that's what's most concerning here. This is why I say, a lot of what Cohen was saying about, but the players and we got to. This is why I didn't buy that the first 2 years is because if he had done better in the first 2 years, there would have been more grace for this season. But because you turned in 2 straight losing seasons, there's way more pressure on this in year 3 than there should have been. And he himself has always pointed to year 3 as critical, right?
Mm-hmm.
And year 3 is where you see the results of your recruiting. Year 1, we know if we recruited well based on the results and how guys are developing defensively, it's happening.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, lights out, man. Multiple draft picks on defense. It's just the one side of the ball. But if you're Cohen, even if you want to defend Hugh, he's got to give you some bullets to put in the gun and go argue to your bosses that we should go through another year of this. And so I can't, I think you said it the best. Close just doesn't matter anymore.
It doesn't.
For Auburn, right? I need solid, tangible. I need a win. Go blow Arkansas the F out this weekend so that I have another week to hold on to say, guys, this is what it can look like. And let's give him another offseason. The other thing that you said, and I'll end on this, that worries me just a little bit if he stays the head coach, is that he's lost the ability to make certain decisions about his program. So once they come in and they start telling you, you got to give up play call. And once those directives start coming in, that's not where we want to be as an Auburn. For sure. Yeah, we don't want the higher ups meddling in the program. We want a coach that you can just let coach and stay out of his business, man. That's it. That's what I want. That's what I want for the head coach at Auburn. So I'm not. If that's what they're going to do, then I'm in favor of moving on. I want him to fix it. So I want him to decide to give up play calling. I want him to decide to get a better quarterback. I want him to decide that because he's the guy that's got to do it. I don't think the people making the decisions have a particularly good track record of making those decisions for the coaches anyway.
No.
So, it is I like John Cohen a lot, but the function of the AD at Auburn is to hire or fire football coaches.
Correct.
I don't think any AD has ever gotten fired because he hired the wrong women's basketball coach.
Exactly. No, it's very true. I also think that to me, I don't even know that you can say that this team is close, because this is the same story that we were saying last year. These games that were within reach that Auburn coulda, shoulda, woulda had, close to me would have been we're a 7-win team or an 8-win team, and probably should have been a 10, but those couple of games back against the wall, the Texas A&M, we just couldn't find a way. Close to win an SEC. No. That scale to me is wrong. When you're looking at the big holistic picture of of hire to now, close should have a totally different definition by year 3.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be we're close to winning SEC games. We're close to winning fourth quarter games. No, it should be we're close to the playoff. That is what I would accept close as, and Auburn isn't there. So this conversation is inevitable, and I think this could be a very impactful week. I think he is making it difficult, though, with the fact that who they've played as of late are still in the conversation. Missouri, Oklahoma, Georgia, like your Texas A&M, the number 3 team in the nation.
All in the playoff conversation right now.
You take them down to the wire. They're all in the playoff conversation right now. So that's making it a very hard decision to really evaluate. Same song and dance happens against a team that is in the bottom of the SEC like Arkansas. You have a very different argument to make.
Oh, man. Treacherous times on the plains here. I think
Who would have thought?
I've talked. Hugh called me last week to clarify some comments he made about Damari, and for what it's worth, I wanted this coach to succeed badly.
We all do.
And the guys he's brought in, just great kids that you want to see succeed as well. To the Cam Colemans, when you see these guys, they have it's gonna sound weird, but they have a joy in their heart that is really lovable when you're around them, and you want to see them revel in some success. So losing them all to this point is just really deflating, I think. I mean, I said this we'll close on this, but I said this at the beginning. I said, look, you beat Baylor and you win just one of your first 3 SEC games, and you're 4-2 headed into the back half of your schedule, and it gives you a little leeway to maybe lose a game you shouldn't, but you can't lose all 3. You just can't. They just needed one.
Let alone 4.
Right, yeah. And so, and I would argue if you had it together enough to win at least one of those first 3, you probably don't lose Missouri. But the decision making, I will not stand for any. I'm with you. I tweeted this out and it went a little viral. But like Barstool was making fun of Alex McPherson. I was like, yeah, we're not doing this.
Yeah, no.
Come on, like you guys, this trash behavior, making fun of Alex McPherson, essentially thanking God for the fact that he's alive.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If you know anything, like him pointing to the sky has nothing to do with himself. It's about his faith that he's even out there.
Yeah.
So, you can
I didn't
take
like
a
that by
seat.
now. Yeah, I called them to the carpet on that one. But I also am calling the coach to the carpet on putting him out there for the 2 substitutes.
50.
Come on, man. We had to have a plan for Alex. And, I get what he said in the post game. He had been making them from 50 in practice, but it just didn't look right to me.
No, I know.
And you make one of those kicks, you beat Missouri, and we're having a different conversation today. We don't have to talk about you potentially being fired. So I worry about the small decisions that are being made, given that the offense is not further along. That's costing Auburn football games. He's got to get it fixed, and he's got to get it fixed quick. Look, I'm going to go on the record and say, if he can win out, I'll be in favor of seeing it through one more year.
Never going to happen, Mike.
I know. I understand the probability, Taylor. I'm just saying, if he did that
would be the only,
where I would support him getting one more year, because it would include something we haven't seen in a while: 5-game winning streak and a win in the Iron Bowl. Finally, we haven't beat Alabama since 2019. So if he can do that, I'm in favor of it. If he can't, then like I said, John is going to have to make some tough decisions here. And I'm going to talk to him hopefully by the end of the week and get an idea of where he's at or where the administration is at. It's just, I wish we were having better conversations. But regardless, we're here to talk about it. Taylor Davis, I want to thank you for joining me today. And I want to thank you guys for listening to the Auburn Express with my good friend Taylor Davis here. Guys, do us a favor. Hit the comment section after the video and let us know what you think. What moves first? Is it the Auburn offense or the Arkansas defense, or what fails first in this game this weekend? And then let us know what you think about the head coaching position. Is it time to move on, or should Hugh Freeze be given more time to get it fixed? We want to hear from you. Taylor, before we get out of here, as always, tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on all social media platforms at Taylor Beth Davis. You can find my SEC podcast with Jason Campbell, Auburn legend. Yes. We're called SEC State of Mind. So you can find us wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. And this week I will be on a big American Conference matchup. USF, which is a top 25 team and really clamoring for that group of 5 spot in the playoff, is headed to Memphis, who was also a top 25 team until they got shockingly upset by UAB just a few days after UAB fired Trent Dilfer. So we are truly in the thick of things in season, and people are going to have to start knocking each other out left and right. You're going to see that a lot week 9, but that'll be on at noon Eastern, ESPN 2 on Saturday.
Guys, do me a favor. Follow Taylor on all her socials. We'll put that in the description of the video. And while you're there, do us a favor. Smash that super thanks button. Your financial support helps keep the work that we're doing here going. This episode of the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report, is brought to you by our friends at SetsForSociety.ai. The road to knowing self better starts with Sets for Society. They have custom personality assessments that let you know a little bit more about how you think, how those around you think, and how you can best think together to achieve life goals. Get to know yourself with Sets for Society. Visit them today. Fill out the form. They'll do the rest. We appreciate them for sponsoring this segment. Guys, also hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. We are TW Report on TikTok. We're signing off, and as always, War Eagle.